On September 30th, 2021, at 1:09 p.m., a 911 call was received by the Madison Township Police Department reporting a fire.
Yeah, I need a firefighter here. I got a fire in my house.
You have a fire?
Yes, I need a fire.
Strangely, for about 45 seconds, the caller withheld the fact that his wife was still inside the house.
Is everybody out of the house?
No. I think I just grabbed the kids out. I couldn't go in. I tried to get in now. I can't control it.
Within minutes, first responders arrived on the scene at 3532 No Bixby Road, 15 miles from Columbus, Ohio. They immediately extinguished the fire, but unfortunately, it was too late. The fire was fatal. The body cam footage that you are currently watching was recorded by Commander Victor Boyd.
Frank 120727 North.
Okay.
Upon Boyd's arrival, he approached the fire chief, who had been speaking to the homeowner moments before.
So what we got here?
He was home. He got the kids out.
As you can see, the homeowner appears to be cool, calm, and collected as he waits by his vehicle. But contrary to his demeanor, this was no small fire. At the time of the call, his basement bedroom was nothing short of an inferno, with all of the valuables inside being burnt to a crisp. This sparks the question, why is he so calm, especially when he knows that his wife was trapped inside?
It sounds like from him, she must have been babysitting the two kids and he was gone.
And he just happened to come home in time?
He just came home and opened the door and it was full of smoke. Kids were still in there playing around on the floor and he got them out, but couldn't go back in for her.
Do you have any idea, is she alive when this?
It's hard to tell.
Okay.
I can't believe that. I don't know.
Commander Boyd decided to take a look at the aftermath himself. The fire was surprisingly contained, with only one room being severely damaged, while the rest of the house was essentially untouched. The exact cause of the fire was unknown at the time, but it was clear that an accelerant was used to cause such concentrated intensity. The victim was found lying in the middle of the room, burnt beyond recognition. On her neck was a USB cord, and underneath her was a burnt bottle of charcoal lighter fluid.
3532 No Bixby, we've got a structure fire, and we've got a body on the inside.
And there's a body inside there.
That is correct. They're saying this fire was in the room that this body is found in.
With the evidence pointing toward foul play, Commander Boyd decided to question the homeowner himself. This is 41-year-old Mamadou Aliou Diallo. At this point, he is fully aware that his wife had died in the fire. Yet again, he appears to be completely calm. Everybody grieves differently, so this could be a natural response or even a state of shock. Whatever it is, Mamadou's body language immediately attracts attention. He gave Boyd a rundown of how he discovered the fire. According to Mamadou, he had just returned home from the mechanic. Upon entering his home, he was met with a wall of smoke, followed by excessive heat. Without hesitation, he rescued the children before calling 911.
The female in there to you is who?
It's my wife.
Hey, well, what is your wife's name?
Fatoumata Diallo.
Spell the first F-A.
T-A.
As you just heard, Mamadou's wife is 32-year-old Fatoumata Diallo. The two moved from Guinea to the United States back in 2013. They got married right after they arrived, and together they had 2 children. At the time of this incident, the children were ages 2 and 3. Mamadou also had full custody of 3 older children from a past relationship. They all lived in the same household, but the eldest children weren't home at the time of the fire.
The female who's in here, you said she's your wife?
It's my wife, yes.
Okay, that's what I thought you had said.
It's
Not only was Mamadou seemingly unfazed by his wife's tragic death, he also displayed an interest in leaving the crime scene, claiming that his kids were hungry and needed to eat.
the restaurant here, they eat African food. The kids, they're hungry.
Right now, sir, I understand they're hungry, but you just can't leave. Okay? Just hold tight.
However, Boyd kept pushing for information, trying to build a timeline leading up to the 911 call.
Can you see on your recents what time you called 911?
Right here. 109.
109. You got home here at about 1309.
Something like that, yes.
Before you came here and stopped, where were you making a run, making a delivery?
No, I went to the shop.
Mamadou explained that he left his house early in the morning to have his truck serviced at a shop in Medina, about an hour away from his home in Madison.
And do you have any idea, sir, off the top of your head, what time you would have been at Medina?
8:30.
8:30?
Yeah.
And then from there, you say you went to the Volvo dealer?
They fixed my ABS sensor on the foot.
You were at the Volvo around 11?
Yeah, that's what, around 11, yeah.
Mamadou's calm demeanor throughout the questioning immediately unsettled Commander Boyd. Why wasn't Mamadou more distraught, considering his circumstances? At this point, Officer Brandy Krantz joined the investigation. When she arrived at the scene, she realized that she had been to this house before. She had responded to several calls of domestic violence at this particular address in the past.
I got a lot of information to feed you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
This led to the detectives reviewing records on the Diallo residence. It turns out that Mamadou was previously charged with domestic violence in 2018 after Fatoumata filed a police report claiming that he had strangled her.
We pulled the history up of this house. We have some pretty bad domestics here.
Have you?
Yeah.
Mamadou quickly became the prime suspect, and police believed that they had enough evidence to justify an arrest. On October 1st, 2021, one day after the fire, Mamadou was arrested and charged with murder.
Why he's doing this? Police said you're riding in his car. Have a seat. Thank you.
After being escorted to the station for questioning, Mamadou experienced one of the most intense interrogations found in the true crime dossier.
You want to talk to us about this incident tonight?
If I have called my lawyer, that will be maybe much better.
Jokes aside, with no help from Mamadou, authorities proceeded to build their case. When speaking with Mamadou's eldest daughter, she had some revealing details to share.
My father is abusive, that whole multiple times. I mean, we used to get weapons all the time. It would be like a cord and like a belt sometimes.
Okay, when we say it board, what are we talking about?
Like a phone charger.
Investigators now had multiple sources citing physical abuse in the household, including Mamadou's criminal record and a personal anecdote from his own daughter. It was apparent that Mamadou had little regard for his wife's well-being, and when Fatoumata's autopsy report came back, it seemed that Mamadou had escalated from abuse to murder. Fatoumata's lungs and airways showed very little signs of black discoloration, and her carbon monoxide levels were not highly elevated, suggesting that she was not breathing during the fire. This meant that she had died before the fire had even began. It was determined that Fatoumata's death was actually caused by ligature strangulation, the murder weapon being the USB cable found at the scene. However, based on Mamadou's given timeline, detectives couldn't prove that he was the one who committed this horrific act. That was until a search warrant was obtained for the Diallo residence and investigators were able to conduct another, more thorough search of the property. Police found that Mamadou had intentionally deactivated the camera above the front door, but forgot that the doorbell camera was still rolling. The doorbell camera showed him returning home at 12:24 p.m. Then, 44 minutes later, at 1:08 p.m., he is seen casually walking out of the house with his two children, while a raging fire burns his wife to death. 1 minute later, he dialed the 911 call heard at the beginning of this video.
Yeah, I need a firefighter here. I got a fire in my house.
The doorbell footage completely contradicted Mamadou's initial story, where he claimed that he called 911 immediately upon his return home. However, this camera only captured the front entrance, so in an effort to view the house from a better angle, police decided to search the surrounding neighborhood for more surveillance footage. Fortunately, a home security camera from across the street recorded the entire sequence of events. After returning home and spending the mysterious 44 minutes inside, Mamadou places his kids in his vehicle. He is then captured nonchalantly walking back to his house and peeking through the window of the burning room. He then returned to his vehicle and placed the 911 call. This recording captured the entire 24 hours surrounding the fire and confirmed that Mamadou was the only person who entered the house that day. This discovery further fueled the detective's belief that he intentionally murdered Fatoumata. With a mountain of evidence towering over him, investigators were prepared to move forward with Mamadou's prosecution.
Well, those friends and family are most certainly heartbroken, and they want answers about why Fatoumata Diallo is now gone.
Diallo and his two young children made it out safely. First responders would soon discover his wife, Fatoumata Diallo, did not.
The 911 call, he never mentioned his wife was in the house for 45 seconds to a minute. I mean, if it was you and I and our loved one was in the house, the first thing I would say is, get somebody here. My wife's in the basement, I can't get her out.
By the time firefighters put out the flames, it was already too late.
She was strangled with some sort of braided cable, maybe a phone cord, something of that nature, and then she was set on fire.
Her family and friends say they knew the couple had had problems, but never expected Fatoumata to be killed. Police reports show a history of calls to the house dating back to 2018. They mention a temporary protection order against Mamadou and tension between Fatoumata and her stepchildren.
It was very tragic. There are stepkids involved, so they lost their stepmother and father, and the two younger children lost their mother, and now their father is behind bars.
A Madison Township man accused of killing his wife made his first court appearance today. During the arraignment hearing, a judge set bond for Mamadou Diallo at $5 million. Diallo is being held in the Franklin County Jail, charged with aggravated arson, murder, and tampering with evidence. He is accused of strangling his wife, 32-year-old Fatoumata Diallo, on Thursday, then setting her body on fire with their kids inside the home. The children managed to get out of the house safely. Today, the judge also ordered Diallo to surrender all passports.
His trial began in mid-July 2023. During the trial, the prosecution proposed that an abusive Mamadou murdered his wife Fatoumata in cold blood. They presented 3 major pieces of evidence to the court. The first was the incriminating surveillance footage that captured Mamadou entering and exiting the house around the time of the fire. Although the murder is not directly caught on camera, this footage contradicts Mamadou's initial statement to the police and displays his bizarre emotionless reaction to such a traumatic event. They also heard the 911 call.
Yeah, I need a firefighter here. I got a fire in my house.
Prosecutors highlighted that Mamadou waited 45 seconds before informing the dispatcher that his wife was still inside, exemplifying his lack of urgency to save her. And lastly, a combination of family statements and police reports put Mamadou's history of domestic violence on full display. A major note from one of these reports stated, "It is in my opinion that this living situation is a powder keg of tension. Most likely only a matter of time before something at this residence turns into something criminal." To wrap up their case, it was asserted that Mamadou had the means, motive, and opportunity to commit the crime, and that his actions were premeditated and deliberate. They urged the jury to find Mamadou guilty on all charges. The defense would go on to vehemently deny the allegations against their client. But after a 6-day trial, Mamadou was ultimately found guilty of 2 counts of murder, aggravated arson, tampering with evidence, and gross abuse of a corpse. On July 26, 2023, Mamadou Aliou Diallo was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 27 years. So what's the answer to the question that we asked earlier? Why was Mamadou so calm?
You want to talk to us about this incident tonight?
If I call my lawyer, that will be maybe much better.
The moment he murdered Fatoumata, his experience with police kicked in. From the 911 call to the interrogation room, Mamadou provided little to no detail and displayed little to no emotion. He was calm because he had a plan from the get-go, which ended with him invoking his Fifth Amendment right to counsel. Regardless, Mamadou Aliou Diallo now resides at the Franklin County Correction Center in Columbus, Ohio. Exactly 156 miles from Columbus is the city of Greenfield, Indiana, the home of our next subject. On October 13, 2016, 7 years before Mamadou's conviction, a man named Aaron Freilich went over to his friend Patty's house only to discover her dead body in the living room. He immediately dialed 911.
911, where's your emergency?
We just came into a friend's house and she's dead.
Okay, where are you at?
We're in Cricket Reels.
So is she breathing at all?
No, she's dead.
Okay, all right. Does it appear to be natural or you don't know?
Her car's gone and she's dead on the couch. I'd say there's foul play here for sure.
All right. What's your name?
Aaron Freilich.
When officers from the Greenfield Police Department arrived at the scene, they took note of their surroundings. In the kitchen, the kick plate for the fridge had been knocked loose, and a purse laid on the floor with a slipper beside it. They found the other slipper in the living room, where Patty was laying face up on her couch, red marks around her neck, and wearing a red bathrobe. The sash was on the floor beside her, rather than on the robe itself. There was clear signs of a struggle, with pillows scattered on the floor. Also, her 2011 blue Ford Taurus was missing, as well as her iPad, Wi-Fi hotspot, and her 55-inch TV. It was apparent that a burglary had taken place. Just hours later, one of Patty's sons, Daniel, arrived on the scene. When the police questioned him, they quickly learned of a likely suspect, Spencer Spielman. Spencer was friends with Patty's son, Nick, and had approached Patty asking for money. So she hired him as a handyman in exchange for cash. As time went on, things kept mysteriously going missing from Patty's home, but she didn't want to accuse Spencer right away. She became more worried when Spencer asked about one of Nick's expensive watches. So, just to be safe, she took the watch out of the box and hid it in a secret hiding spot in the house. Then, on October 12th, 2016, just a day before her murder, Patty's home was ransacked, and the burglar left the empty watch box on the table. She texted her friend saying, "Spencer broke into my house today. Didn't get what he was looking for, though." She then warned him over text, saying, "I will have you arrested and thrown in jail. Don't ever break in again. Don't test me. I know you were in my house." She also texted her son Daniel about the situation and said, "Okay, kinda scared. Can't sleep. Worried." Police immediately began searching for Spencer. Then, on October 14th at 11:10 a.m., they got news from the Hancock County Coroner's Office. Patty's death was ruled as a homicide, the murder weapon being the red bathrobe sash. It had been tied around her neck twice and was used to strangle her. Police spent the rest of the day hunting Spencer down, but he was nowhere to be found. Then, at 8:45 p.m., a 911 call was placed by a man named Dwayne Davis.
911, what's your emergency? Did you guys find the blue Taurus that was stolen from Patty Dresser's house?
I have no idea.
Well, there's one sitting here at the Village Pantry on South 9 right now that it matches.
What's the license plate?
UJF691. Is that the car?
I can't tell you that information.
Okay, well, I'm the owner of the car.
Okay, what's your name?
Dwayne Davis.
Patty and Dwayne were friends for 25 years and a couple for 7. Dwayne is a general manager of a Ford dealership where they had actually bought the blue Ford Taurus together. Even after their breakup, Dwayne was still technically the owner of the car. Coincidentally, he had just pulled up behind the blue Taurus at a red light and quickly recognized it as his own, prompting him to call 911.
Who's with the car?
2 white guys. If that's the car, I'll follow them real quick. They're leaving.
Where you at now?
We're coming up to the curb, coming toward their police car right there.
As Dwayne ended the call, officers approached the Ford Taurus and 2 men were arrested.
Drop everything in your hands now. Step back towards me. Keep coming. Keep coming. Stop. Passenger in the vehicle, step out with your hands up.
The driver was Spencer Spielman, and the passenger was someone named Brandon Humphreys. Police promptly separated them and brought them down to the station for questioning. They began with Brandon Humphreys.
What we're looking into is something very serious, okay? Do you know why you're here, why you were shot?
Absolutely not. I'm baffled right now.
Okay. Who's the guy that you're with?
His name's Spencer.
Okay.
He's an old friend of mine.
Obviously, you're in the car with him tonight. Mm-hmm. What do you know about the car?
He told me it was his mom, Patricia's. And he went to the gas station, and, I kind of got a little nosy, opened the glove box, and sure enough, there was a registration that said Patricia on it, so...
You said you don't know anything about the car other than it being his mom's.
I'm kind of already putting 2 and 2 together.
Okay. The car's stolen. Okay. And you being in a stolen car doesn't look good. You understand that. That's why we're back here. And there's a bigger issue than that. The stolen vehicle you're in is attached to a homicide.
Homicide? Like someone died in it? There's really no conversations about the car itself. He just said his mom was letting him borrow it. And I'm going to just tell you this now, just in case it pops up in the future.
Mm-hmm.
I did buy a TV off him. He said it came from his mom's house. So now I'm starting to think if the car was stolen.
What kind of TV was it?
It was a 55-inch Hitachi TV. And I took it to a pawn shop because I knew it was going to be money.
If you feel like you're holding something back to protect him?
No. At this point, I can give less about him.
Okay.
Because he had me in a stolen vehicle, and now I'm learning about there was it's attached to a homicide.
Where our homicide happened, would there be any reason your DNA would be on any evidence inside the house?
Absolutely not. No.
If we get information from somebody else that you were involved and we're able to prove that, it's not going to look good. Are you sure there's nothing else?
I promise you there's nothing else. I know I'm innocent about all this.
The detectives had no indication that Brandon was lying, so after taking Brandon's photo, they wrap up the interrogation and he is allowed to leave. They then move on to Spencer. Pay close attention to his posture throughout this interrogation. His arms are crossed, physically closing himself off to the detectives. Unlike Brandon, Spencer has a good idea of why he was brought in for questioning.
I mean, obviously the car. Patty let me use it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's what we need to get to the bottom of.
I go over there to her house once or twice a week.
And we're talking about Patty.
Patty. I like clean her house and stuff. Like she pays me like $100 once a month to do all her windows.
Okay.
Like clean her floors.
When asked why he had Patty's car, Spencer had an interesting story to share.
I was cleaning and she got into a fight with some old guy who was over there. She's like, blah, blah, blah. I went down. I was like, I'm leaving. She's like, oh. She was like, she let me take her car. She said, just come back in the morning because she had to go to work. So she let me use her car. I come back in the morning. I couldn't get an answer from the door or anything. I didn't know what to do. I was just going to leave her car in her driveway. The keys in it.
This old guy that she was with, who is he?
I have no idea. When I was upstairs vacuuming, I heard her yell, John, like 3 times. So I'm guessing his name's John, but I'm not sure.
When you left, did you see anything in the driveway?
I think it was like an Expedition. It was really nice.
What color was it?
White.
What Spencer doesn't realize is that the investigators have already looked at the surveillance footage from Patty's neighbor's house, and they now know for a fact that nobody had gone to the house that day. Spencer's story was completely fabricated.
You have a key to get in the residence?
I do not.
Okay.
She always lets me in. She's always sitting in the garage.
Have you got the door code? Like the keypad for the
garage door?
Yeah. So Thursday morning, is that when you brought the car back?
I got there like 7. I waited for a couple hours. I'm not even going to lie to y'all.
Okay. But she would just never answer the door?
There was not an answer.
So now we're into Friday today. What did you do when you woke up?
Went to Brandon's, loaded up one of his rims for his car. Went and tried to sell them. Pawn shops, went and gave them for him.
So you guys pawn anything?
No.
Okay.
Actually, they did sell something to the pawn shop, Patty's stolen TV, as Brandon said earlier. Not only that, but before questioning Spencer, they had already confirmed this by looking at the surveillance footage from the pawn shop. Spencer and Brandon can be seen carrying in the TV. At this point, the detectives decided to confront Spencer about his lies.
We've already been checking with the pawn shops, okay? We know you pawn stuff. So you had to be honest.
In there on video.
I just asked you if you pawn stuff. You told me no. So this is the time to be honest and clear.
I am being honest.
You pawned the TV.
Do what?
55-inch TV.
Yeah.
Why didn't you tell us about that?
I didn't think it was.
You didn't think it was relevant.
Yeah.
Was there an agreement between you and Patty?
No.
For you to take that TV?
No.
Then why did you take it?
Because I needed money. That's the only thing I took from the house.
So the TV you took, was she home when you took it?
Do what? No.
How'd you get in the house then?
The garage door clicky thing.
The detectives are hoping that if they catch Spencer in enough lies, he will realize that the evidence is stacked against him and that the best course of action is to confess.
The White Expedition.
Mm-hmm.
They're on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the truth.
Yeah, it is. How is that not the truth?
There's video cameras. You gotta stop lying to us.
I'm not lying to you guys.
Okay. Yeah, you are.
We're shooting holes all in your story. This is a big, big deal.
What are you talking about?
What do you think we're talking about?
I'm not sure.
If you had to guess, what do you think?
Well, y'all obviously think I stole the car.
Stolen car?
I didn't steal no car. What the going on?
Murder.
Bull.
Murder.
I didn't kill nobody.
Apparently you did.
You stole her car?
No. What?
Broke in her house, stole her TV.
No.
Stole a car, stole a Mi-Fi.
I didn't kill nobody. Or steal anything.
Then you better tell us who did.
I don't know.
Yeah, right.
You better,
I don't have the balls to murder anybody.
Maybe you didn't mean to.
What?
This is your opportunity to tell us what happened.
I don't know.
Why, since you sit your ass in that chair. You know it. You sit there and thought it all up and you thought you had it all figured out.
No, I did not.
John. Who the hell is John?
I did not.
White truck. We got video. There ain't no white truck around.
I didn't
tell us the
anybody.
truth. Save your life.
You.
About 1 hour into the interrogation, Spencer begins to show signs of defeat.
You were there. She's dead. You got her car. I'm a jury member. What am I going to think?
I didn't kill her.
It's like you don't have any emotion that she's dead.
No, I care. I just don't show it.
Spencer, let me ask you this.
I
Okay.
didn't kill anybody.
Even though he sticks to his claims of innocence, his delivery is becoming more and more lethargic, and his posture slowly evolves from closed off to more open.
And who was there when you left?
That dude. I'm not lying about that either.
We've gone over and verified the times on the video. There's no expedition there. Okay. Are you saying that just because you're scared?
Yeah. I didn't.
But there's no expedition, right? We're finally getting somewhere. Okay. What were you scared about coming up with the story about her getting in the argument?
Oh, she did. She was screaming at somebody on the phone.
But that was on the phone. Did she ever take any of that anger and turn it toward you? Like, did she tell you to get out of the house?
Pretty much. And as I'm walking out the garage door, I got hit in the back of the head with something really hard. And all I remember is waking up in the Walmart parking lot with a TV in the trunk.
It hadn't been hurt, right?
I don't know. It was in the garage. I don't know what she grabbed.
Was she cussing at you?
She was going nuts.
Do you ever remember her falling? Having to help her up?
I think, no, she did fall off. She knocked the chair over.
Did you help her up at any point to like the couch? Did she fall down? That stuff's
Yeah,
going to
I walked her over to the couch.
So you helped her on the couch?
Yeah. And she laid down.
She had a robe on when you picked her up and put her on the couch.
Yeah.
The robe, like the strap where you tie it, that was on the floor?
Mm-hmm. It was right there by the couch, I think, on the floor.
So she fell out of the chair. You've helped her onto the couch.
She hit you in the back of the head.
I took her car and left.
When we went to the autopsy, that robe, the marks around her neck, that robe was wrapped around her neck, that tie.
Oh, I didn't do that. Hell no.
We're trying to figure out how that got around her neck.
I had to choke her with it. No, we're losing you.
Bit by bit, the detectives chipped away at Spencer's facade. What started as a completely fabricated story had turned into Spencer making several crucial admissions. And the detectives weren't done yet. About 2 hours into the interrogation, at around 1:20 a.m., everybody began showing signs of exhaustion, so they decided to go for a smoke break.
You want a cigarette, right?
Sure. You'll go right out that exit door. Right out there.
From the moment they walked outside, nobody spoke of the investigation. In fact, Spencer didn't speak at all. Once they finished up their cigarettes, they all made their way back into the interrogation room, and it was immediately clear that something within Spencer had changed.
I'm ready to tell y'all what happened. When I let her down on the couch, like a few minutes later, she just came up, freaking the out, hitting me, and trying to scratch at me. And I just tightened it left. And I came back, and by that time, when I took it off, it was too late.
The detectives finally had a confession, but to strengthen their case even further, they wanted Spencer to volunteer information that only the killer would know. For example, the fact that the sash was wrapped around Patty's neck twice.
So she's on the couch. She jumps up. Where was the belt, sash, whatever we want to call it?
On the little table.
Did you talk about the table next to the couch?
Yeah. So somehow you managed to get that just around once or
twice, and then
after pulling it tight around her neck, she fell back on the couch, and Spencer left. The next morning, at around 7 a.m., he came back to feed the dog and noticed that Patty had not moved from her spot on the couch. He noticed that her face was now gray. He removed the sash from her neck, but he realized that it was too late. Patty was dead. Instead of calling 911, he quickly left the premises. Following this interrogation, Spencer Spielman was charged with murder, robbery, and driving while suspended. And after an 8-day trial, he was found guilty on all charges.
36. A man found guilty of murder will soon learn how long he'll be behind bars. Spencer Spielman was found guilty yesterday. He was charged after Patricia Dresser of Greenfield was strangled to death. She'd employed Spielman as a handyman at her home. Spielman is set to be sentenced at the end of August.
On August 31st, 2017, Spencer Spielman was sentenced to 55 years in prison. He currently resides at the Pendleton Correctional Facility in Pendleton, Indiana.